Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Boss Battle, episode number 24. I'm here with,
24,
sorry,
26, bro.
26. I'm thinking, dude, I read the year of the year that we're in, so my brain just farted. Episode number 26. I am Crypto Hotto alongside Mizzy and Cloudz, and we have our special guest today, Seabass from Party Icons. Seabass, what's
Let's
going on, my brother?
go.
Yo, what is going on, guys? Thank you guys so much for having us here. I've been a long-time fan of you guys, long-time supporter, and so I'm excited to be here as well. So let's get it.
Apparently, Damien is saying it's episode 27. Do we know what episode we're on? Because
Oh, dude, we're all over the place. Wait, what?
It's
Are
all
you
a
positive,
blur.
Damien? Are you positive on that? Because I thought.
Listen, the production
you're
the production team is getting demoted.
Hey, bro, that was me that set it up, so I guess I'm getting demoted. But anyways,
We all
but-
look it up.
all right.
anyways,
Well,
it's okay. We'll
while
go.
the hiring in Web3 meta is out, we're looking for a new CEO.
No. We win as a team. We die as a team.
I'm
Okay.
packing my bags, guys.
Well,
Oh,
you know,
man.
Well,
For those of
listen, you guys let us know. Hopefully, it's episode 27. If not, welcome to episode 26. The important thing is that we're here with Party Icon, and they came on to take on the bosses today, man. So good luck
Absolutely.
to Seabass. Hopefully, he beats them. You already know you got to get an 85 or above in order to pass. And we'll be going over the results as we go through the bosses, or I think at the end. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a sick show. I'm gonna throw it back to you, brother. Let's get it going.
cool. You forgot some of the rules. So basically, we have three different bosses. Boss number one is going to be the Golem King. Boss number two is Cerebus. Did I say it right this time?
Bro, again?
Cerebus. You keep
The three-headed dog.
Never,
Okay?
bro.
I'm saying the three-headed dog from now on because I can't say Cerebus.
Cerberus. It's not that hard, bro.
Cerebrius. And then the last boss, of course, is gonna be the twin-headed Hydra. So me and Cloudz will be alternating questions back and forth. And like he said, you got to get 85 or above on all the combined bosses together to defeat all the bosses. So are you ready, Seabass, to get into this?
Let's do this. I was never good at tests, but hopefully we can pass this one.
I'll throw you there. I never did
I
get
don't
a
think
test.
any of us were good at tests, man.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's what we're gamers.
Yeah. All right, let's get into it. Question number one. Could you give us a little insight about Meta Icons and how the studio came about?
Yeah, absolutely. So I joined the team recently as far as December of last year before Art Basel. The team has been building the game now for the past 2 years. They originally started off as a PFP collection, but had previously built games out in Asia. And so the team had built those games. They've produced over $1 million in revenue. And so now they're making these games in the Web3 space, starting off with Party Icons. Now, Party Icons is actually not just the extraction shooter that you see on videos. So Party Icons actually has a carnival mode. I don't know if I'm getting too fast into this as well, but Party Icons has a carnival mode where for the carnival mode, it's just like party games, like your Mario Party games. And then it goes into the extraction mode, which is Party Heist. Not heavy like Shrapnel. It's 8-player based. And the twist on it is that in this 8-player mode, there's actually a 9th player. And this 9th player, his whole job is to play God and to disrupt the battlefield from the people that are inside trying to extract. So he'll implement things like a blizzard, like meteorites, things like that, and try to mess you up because the person that is playing the God, for all unextracted party points that are found in the game, they go to the person that's playing God mode. So he does not want you to extract, but you want to extract so you can get that sweet loot as well.
That's
Yo,
really
I'm-
interesting.
I'm already hooked. I love that. Like you can play God. That sounds so interesting.
I think that brings like a really different dynamic to the game loop itself, right? It kind of reminds me, that little feature reminds me. I don't know if you guys ever played Battlefield. I think it was Battlefield 4 that had a position called like a commander, and it was like an app that you could like download in your phone and get into, and it would connect with the game like that you were into the lobby. And you could like do all sorts of things, like call like airstrikes for your squad, all that type of stuff. So it's really cool that you guys are implementing like kind of like a role for like an spectator type of person, right? Like someone that gets to be like outside of the game, but still adding on to like the the gameplay going on.
100%. Think about it like Hunger Games, right? Like you have the sponsors that throw stuff into the game for people, right? Kind of like that. But these people are either going to give you a loot box or they're going to absolutely mess up your entire game plan and separate you and your teammates,
So cool, man. So cool.
Absolutely. That sounds really cool, man. I mean, let's keep going. Let's keep going. Next question here. On your website, you have Luca listed as a dev head. Are there more people developing the game? How many devs are currently working on PartyIcons?
Yeah, 100%. So the people that are on the website itself, those are just like the core team that were part of like the initial game build. But we have over 80 devs that are working on the game out in Asia. And only 3 of those are actually, or 3 people that are on the team are here in North America, me being one of those 3. But we have a dev team of over 80 people in Asia.
Okay, nice. It's a decent amount of people working on the game. Next question here. When can we accept this?
You said 80 people?
80.
Over
yeah.
80 people?
We have over $10 million put into the game in development.
That's crazy. And I don't think people understand how big that is for like a Web3 team, right? Like a lot of teams that we've talked to, 20 people, 30 people here and there, but like 80 people is a decent amount of like,
I think in some cases we have almost as big of a team as some of these studios.
Yeah, no joke, dude.
Like I think we're like at what 11 or 12, and sometimes we'll talk to a studio and they're like, we have 15, 20. I'm like, damn, we're not that far off, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
That's a very good point. I didn't think about that. Our team, and like we're growing, and we're actually kind of rivaling some of the team's numbers there. So that's a good point, Mizzy. The next question says here: when can we expect to see new mini games?
Yeah, so I kind of touched on that during like the first introduction part, but we have our Party Heist mode, which is out right now, and it's out in phases. Think about it like Shrapnel, right? They did STX 1.1, STX 1.2, right? And then STX 2 to 3 is going to be like the big jumps, For us, they're CBs. So closed beta 0, closed beta 0.5. We just had our 0.5. Our next jump is going to be closed beta 1. And that's going to be a bigger jump where we're going to have optimized gameplay, optimized weapons in play. We noticed that the snipers were too strong. So we're going to be putting them in chests rather than allowing people to equip them off start. So we're implementing those changes. So our Party Heist mode is playable right now. And then we also have a Party Brawl, which this is a 3v3, like team deathmatch. You jump into it really quick. First team to 20 wins. So it's very fast paced. And then we have a party like domination in Call of Duty, right? You have the 3 different flags that you capture. Something like that. We have 4 flags and you try to get up to a certain amount of points. And once you get to those points, you end up winning. Same thing, 3v3 for that. We also have our Party Carnival, and our Party Carnival is 40 party games that are ready to go. Think about this being like your go into a building and try to find the right door to get out of the building first, Games like that, or if you have a bomb, you have to pass the bomb on to the next person so that way you don't end up exploding, So we have these 40 plus different game modes that are already ready to go. We just took that mode down so that we could focus on our Party Heist. So when can you get new games? We're thinking about honestly putting this Party Carnival up as soon as like our next CB1, since we already have it done. We were just focusing on this Party Heist.
All right, I have like a 2-parter selfish question that's not on the script here. The first question is, what has been your favorite game or mode, right? And then the second one would be, what has the community feedback been about these games? Like, what has the community's favorite game been?
Yeah, so for a long time we had these, and I'm gonna answer this kind of like through the journey, but in a quick way. That way we kind of get it answered fast. So for a long time we just had Party Carnival, and we were doing this with different communities and doing game nights there, right? I noticed that most projects, when they start doing these game nights, they do things like Rumble Royale, or these different in Discord bots, right? And there's only so much that you can do for Discord communities without it getting like overplayed. And as a community manager, this is something that I had seen. And so when I saw PartyIcons in this carnival mode, it was something where I saw an ability to bring players together in more ways than just a Discord bot, because our game besides it being like these different game modes, it's also mobile to PC compatible. So the people that are on mobile, they could play party games with people that are on PC and likewise, right? It just opens the doors for so many people. So for me personally, what I've had the most fun in, I'm going to have to say is our party heist mode. Especially because I'm a shooter. So I like to, play shooter games. And so my favorite mode is the party heist, specifically the sniper. It's so overpowered and it's going to get removed. But I had tons of fun just like jumping up from across the map and sniping somebody, right? Or like somebody's dashing across and then sniping them, right? Like sitting ducks, it's like the duck game, right? And so it was like that's what I had the most fun in. Community wise, we've seen a lot of communities start to jump into this party heist mode because it is cross-platform compatible. And so people are able to play with their friends, right? It's really easy, really fast. So I would say that the party heist has gotten the most recognition. However, there are those core community members that really enjoy the carnival games.
Great answer. I love that answer.
I actually have a selfish question that I wanted to ask as well for you, C-Bags, because I think it's pretty cool that you guys figure out a way to like bring the social aspect into the game, right? With the party carnival mini games that you get access to, and then obviously allow the people to enjoy like the competitive side of the game, which is like the party heists and the 3v3s, and you're talking about domination and stuff like that. But one of the things we've seen pretty often, not often, but we're seeing more of, right, in games that are coming into the space, is the implementation of mini games inside their ecosystem, right? Do you think that's something that's pretty important for games to have nowadays, to kind of allow a balance between high skilled players and casual players to kind of have a world that they can both be in and enjoy, each other's playtime?
Yeah, 100%. I think, and to be completely transparent here, right? I'm not just going to say that our game is like all sunshine and rainbows, right? Because our game right now, one of the major drawbacks is that while it is cross-platform compatible, we haven't implemented the availability or the option yet for mobile players to say that they don't want to play with PC players yet, So PC players are running through these lobbies, And so that's one drawback that I'll say about our game. And to come back to your point about these mini games, it absolutely plays a part in it, right? Because think about it this way, right? If you're jumping into a game and let's say you're a streamer, okay? Let's say you're a streamer. I'm gonna start honking.
Yeah, real quick. Shout out Ramen. Shout out Jackie. I don't know what everyone. But I'm just fucking with you, bro. Shout out Ramen. We got a couple cool announcements to make with Ramen too.
Oh hell yeah! Shout out Ramen for reals. That guy's awesome. Played with him in Forgotten Playland. Great guy. But yeah, so going to your question too. If you're streaming, you're playing the game, and this is why mini games are so important. If you're streaming, you're playing the game, you're gonna play the game where people are gonna watch you for one of two reasons, right? One, either you're super cracked at the game and there's nobody like you, right? It's why people watch Tens, on Valorant, right? It's why, people watch these different creators, right? People watch, Scump on Call of Duty, right? He's super cracked. I mean, they also have fun personalities, right? But they're super cracked. So people love to watch them just absolutely dominating, The second reason why somebody watches you play is because you're fun. You're a funny person, right? You have a great personality and people like that. People like to get along with you. And so when you're playing like that shooter game, if you're not cracked, then people are going to want to watch you. But if you're also just losing all the time, chances are you're probably going to have a sour personality on stream and people aren't just going to want to watch. It's not going to be a fun experience, right? And that's where those mini games really play a part because it allows you to switch it up and to really have a chance at absolutely anything, right? Because I don't need to have a super high skill gap or have super high skill level to know how to pass you a bomb or when to pass you a bomb, right? Or to go through a door or to grab your toilet paper and put it into one toilet. That's one of our modes. So like these different things, right? You don't need to have a super high skill gap. So it just makes it more fun for more people.
Yeah. Yeah, like Ramen is saying in the chat, something for everyone is always great, right? Like if you
100%.
And I love the fact that you brought up the streamer point, right? Because like that's totally true, man. When you're not a high skill based player, right, and you're not used to competition, you're not used to like that level of competition and gameplay. it does affect your stream, and that affects you to like have an active chat or viewers because nobody wants to stop. You know, people go see streamers to relieve stress or like have some type of entertainment. So if I go see you and you're there being a sour person, automatically that to me is like, okay, I got to move on to the next streamer. You know, like what's happening?
Or you could make a joke out of it the entire thing, and then the chat jumps in on the joke and they just all shit on you. I've seen that route too.
Oh yeah, you can definitely make it into like a troll session, right? And like just make fun of your own gameplay and type of stuff like that. But that's the entertainment side of things, right? Like you as an entertainer or a streamer have to be able to do that, right? You can't let it get to you personally to a point where you shut down on stream, you know? So I see Seabass's point as well with involving those party games. And I hadn't thought of mini games from that point of view. So solid answer there, brother. Solid answer.
Appreciate that.
I did see that. Mizzy, did you bring up Ramen's post or comment? I mean?
Yes, sir, I did. He said hyper casual and casual games are the meta. Look at mobile party games are what we need in Web3. You know,
then remove skill-based matchmaking, Ramen. Tell them.
What I will say is like I could agree with this from a streamer perspective. Like, you know, I would say I'm a decent blend of being sweaty and like, but I way more rely on like my personality, right? Like I'm not the biggest sweat in the world. I'm none of the people that we've seen in the past. Like when I do the shows with the guys and stuff, the party games are more fun to stream with than like, you know, the shit that we can talk, the things that we can do, the skits that we can run. It's a lot more entertaining than just sitting there and having the chat watch me try to be cracked or having a couple of crack moments. You know, for me, it's like you interact with the community more. You get people to hop into the lobbies a little more because it's like more welcoming for them. So I feel like for Web3, there is a really big meta around like these party games.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would argue it's easily the easiest way to bring in a bunch of different creators of different genres or whatever they're doing and come together and just like come under one game and just play and have a good time. So that's what I would argue.
And to your point, Missy, I think it's an issue across all of gaming, not even just Web3, man. Like, and I was serious about the skill-based matchmaking thing. That literally was the reason why a game like Call of Duty stopped being fun to play public matches, right? You play a public match to like have fun, pub stump, maybe like, you know, have like let your skills show why you were the most skillful player. Right now you go in there and it's like you're playing with sweats all day long, bro. It's like you're playing, might as well just play rank match all day long, right? Like why are you even playing public? So if more games go into that mechanic of skill-based matchmaking, I do see a future where more games are going to suffer from not having the casual play or the hyper casual play, like, you know, games into their ecosystem, unless they have like mini games and stuff like that.
Ramen with the Chibi class shout out here. I've never played that, but I'm sure he's right on that part.
Ramen and chibis, man. That guy loves his chibis.
and his fur. He loves his fur too. Let's move along the show here. We got 2 more questions on the first boss. So the second to last question here, you know, this is kind of a trendy topic. Maybe it's controversial, maybe it's not. Thoughts on the recent 9 hero drop campaign? We asked because your team is using a similar activation. What is PartyIcons doing to prevent a similar incident?
Yeah, I think, and yeah, like you said, you know, very controversial topic there. But I think for Nine Heroes, how would I say this? I want to try to form it in a way where it's also not dunking on the team, right? I think Nine Heroes actual like game missions are really good. Many games focus solely on social campaigns, right? And as a return of that, you go into their game and there's like nobody in there, right? Nine Heroes are the opposite of that. They had a fun game and then they added these rewards onto that as well. I think with what happened to them is unfortunate. I think that the team is capable of like turning things around, right? And when I say this, you know, I haven't spoken directly to the team, but the person that I have spoke to is Jorge, right? From the gaming strategist, and just his character as well, like somebody that's very like, let's get this done, you know? I think that this to him, you know, kind of hurt, and I think that they're going to try to do whatever they can to work alongside the team to make sure that it gets resolved, you know? So I will say that. I think it was unfortunate, and I think it will get resolved as well. As far as what we're doing, sorry, there's like a fly in my room. As far as to like, dude, it goes by, man. It drives me nuts. But as far as to like what we're doing from the party points aspect, right? And I can't touch too much on like tokenomics or anything like that. We will have some form of like currency and crypto that flows through the game, right? But that'll be an announcement that happens at a later time. And just to see like what I can say, what I can't say, you know. But what we're doing now is we're heavily focusing in on the in-game quests, right? And social rewards and campaigns. Do this fly, but and social rewards, right? So we want to focus in on when a player gets in, how many characters does he play with? You know, when a player gets in, how many extractions does he do before he's able to claim this point? You know, and so we really want to focus in on those incentives and those activations first.
Like that answer. I think that's a very good take on the whole situation too. I do want to say and do mention that they chose a third-party solution to do the airdrop. The third-party solution failed, so they dropped the ball there. It's not entirely their fault, so I do want to tell that to the audience.
Listen, man, I don't know. Like, I get why it's controversial. Obviously, I spent a lot of time in 9 Heroes, and you know, not being able to claim at launch sucked. But like, we should have made more memes, man. Like this type of shit, DeFi or NFTs all the time. You know how it is when this stuff happens in DeFi and NFTs. Like the memes come flying out, and I felt like a Lone Ranger today, like posting this little meme that I did earlier, and I was like, "Come on, guys! Like, let's make fun of it. Like it is what it is. Shit happens."
Yeah, exactly. You know, it happens, right? But yeah, 100% agree.
And
Graslow.
Yo, what's up,
Graslow?
Thank you for coming by, brother.
Right there.
A lot of
Shout
the
out.
times on this type of things, it's really out of the hands of the teams, man. Like they're not the ones solely making all the decisions or like handling all the tools that they use and stuff like that. So hopefully they're able to fix it and take care of their community as they've been doing. So, you know, be patient. But man, it was a war. It was a war in Discord.
Oh yeah, I was taking screenshots. I was there last night. I was there last night from like the actual like initial launch time till about like 8 a.m. my time, and like from the start to finish, it was just like a war. Like I think this moment in history needs to be memed just because of what happened, and I think that will shape the 9 Heroes culture. So I just want to say that.
100%. And if I could add to this too, right? Like there is like a part of it, like where you could say like, oh, why would they source that out right to a third party? That's on them too, you know? But I think something for people just to realize, for those that maybe aren't as experienced in like working with some teams in here too, is that sometimes you can't be the one that builds everything from scratch, right? Sometimes you do have to outsource that and then weigh out what the options are there, right? They put their faith into a third-party provider and it didn't go as planned. Okay, that happens. That's just what happens when you're not building it from scratch to oversee what's going on. But that's one of those things where you just got to be like, damn, shit happened, right? And just move on.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if Riot tried to build the game and a fucking payment solution?
Dude, it's just hard. It's hard to make a full opinion and have like a full opinion on this, right? When we don't know all the decisions behind the scene, right? Like that's the part that a lot of people miss. But hey, guys, before we get on to the last question here, the poll for voting is up. Make sure you guys hit that up. All right, if you haven't done so yet, if you're watching us on Twitch, I think how to drop the link right there on the chat. So if you want to partake, go ahead and go to X and drop us your vote. It's completely anonymous. Tell us how Seabat is doing so far in Boss Battle. But how to go ahead, brother. Go into the last question.
All right. Last question here. A perk that is listed for OGK holders is interactive content optimized for streaming and sharing. Can you share with us what that looks like?
No. No, yeah. So there are going to be, and the reason why I say no is because that utility was up there since before I joined the team, and we're reworking the utility. So what I can tell you is about the reworked OGX holder utility. Reworked OGX utility will be like during these party point sessions. And the reason why I keep bringing party points up is because party points are going to be what is eventually going to turn into party tokens. So that's the reason why these party points are so important in the ecosystem that we have. And OGX holders will actually get multipliers based on the OGX that they have. And the OGX holders will be the ones that get to play God. So not everybody will get to play God. The OGX holders will. And they want to make it so that people that when they're in the game and they're playing God, they make it as difficult as possible to everybody because, you know, they want to extract those party points from the lobby rather than somebody else coming in and them having to fight off everybody else and a God as well.
Love that answer, and that's some good information on how you can play God. Now I know. So,
getting OGX, baby.
The poll has officially closed for boss number 1, so we're gonna switch gears and go to the second boss here, which is the three-headed dog that I can't say the name.
Brother, it's Cerberus, man. It's not that hard. Come on. You can
Cerebrium.
All right, well, we've made it to the second boss. Let's jump right into it. I'm going to be taking care of this one. The first question here is more about OGX. So I know you said you guys are reworking some things, so just answer to the best that you can, Seabass. It says, considering the OGX collection is limited to 10K NFTs, what are the plans to ensure these assets retain their value and utility within the Partyverse, especially given their roles in interactive content and party high sponsorship?
Yeah. So how does everybody get a bit, or how does everybody get to experience it? You know, the OGX are going to be the people that are heavily promoted inside of the game in ways like being able to grab majority of the loot as well, right? And we're going to have pools at the end of each season as well that will go, you know, to OGX holders too. Now, as far as how does everybody kind of play a part in this, or all of our skins inside of game, if you are, let me see, I want to see if maybe I can open up the game on the side, but if you open up the game, you will have each character as well as their different skins. All of these skins will actually be on chain and will be tradable as well. So I guess that's a way for people to be able to take part in the game, right? Not everybody needs to be an OGX holder. And at this point right now, I would rather say that I would not feel confident with releasing another collection until we bring that value and that importance to the OGX that makes communities resonate with it, right? I feel like us releasing another collection at this point will really dilute the collection and dilute the project itself from a Web3 standpoint.
That is awesome, man. And, you know, I like the fact that you mentioned that you guys, well, at least you personally will feel more comfortable waiting to release another collection, right? Until you make sure that the current collection fulfills its utility and make sure that those people are taken care of, right? And that you're figuring out ways to get access into it and be involved with the ecosystem without having to be necessarily an NFT holder, right? So there are going to be other ways to get involved with. To that, I wanted to ask you a follow-up question. We saw an approach similar with Dead Drop and Shrapnel, right? When they did I think Dead Drop Cole did like the keys, and then I forgot what Shrapnel did with theirs. It was like basically like the 3-tier package that you could buy to get access into the game, right?
Right.
There was like some type of I guess not like a stigma, but how can I say it? Like some type of misunderstanding, right? Because at first people had to purchase those things, and then they ended up giving a lot of them for free, and a lot of people took kind of offense to that. How do you guys feel about that, and how do you think it's the best way to handle that from PartyIcons perspective?
Yeah, so I've actually talked to Tony quite a bit on this topic as well, because me and Tony are really close to each other. He's the guy that gave me my first job in Web3. So we've worked together, and I love that guy. That guy's like my brother.
He's awesome. He came on the podcast, and he was a super like awesome,
great guy.
Yeah,
good vibes all the time. The guy's always laughing. I call him Uncle Iro. But so to touch on this point here, I think it's valid for people to kind of feel like they were blindsided because you're paying this money for this for the pack, right? and then you're feeling like, well, where does that value go to, right? And I do think that when it comes time to utilize these packs more, that there will be like that value that's added to it, you know? I don't think we're at a point where we've really utilized them besides what, like a few skins, maybe, you know? But I don't feel like we're at a point where we've really utilized them. And the Shrapnel team, I think they're going to figure out a way to really make sure that everybody feels like they're taken care of. What I will say is, as a Web3 game, you're kind of fighting that battle of, one, how do we make these feel valuable? And two, how do we just get people playing the game, you know? And I think initially what may have had happened was, you know, there may have been a conversation, because we've had this conversation before as well. There may have been a conversation that's like, hey, we want to have people get this pass, like pay for this pass, whatever. So it feels more valuable as well when you join the game. And we're also going to give you these rewards that come with the pack, like these extra loot boxes that are going to give you skins in the game, these extra currency that you get to buy into the game with, you know? So things like that to make it feel valuable. But then you fight on the other side. It's like, okay, but now we're limiting to who can get access to the game, because now we're putting it behind this access pass, right? And I think for Shrapnel, what they did was it got to a point probably where they were like, you know what? Like, we're more focused on getting people in. So we're going to go on this tour of spaces and tour of game nights, and we're going to just give passes to people to give away, because we just want to focus on how many people can we get into the game, you know? Yeah. And so I think for us right now, we're at a point where getting more people into the game isn't like, how would I say? I don't want to say it's not our main focus, but our main focus right now is getting guilds and communities in, because we kind of want to see how that plays out and let the gameplay kind of happen normally, right? Guilds are going to be more focused on how do we get more party points and how do we do it together and get more team play going on, right? And so we want to focus on getting these people in so that we can also get feedback on how the game plays first before we really open it up to thousands and thousands of players as well.
Yeah, that's a great point, man. And shout outs to the Shrapnel team, by the way. They did a great job at handling everything. Because I remember during that time, I think at some point they were even offering refunds to people that were like, you know, complaining about the fact that they had spent money on their extraction packs and stuff like that. Personally, I didn't take offense to it. I was an operator holder for a long time. You gave me a hell 3 at one point, and I gave them away to community members in our community for them to experience the ecosystem and stuff like that, you know. So I love Shrapnel. I think it's just one of those things that I didn't take personal offense, because to me it's like, how many games have you bought a DLC for the same price as that extraction pack, for example, and never question what value you get out of it, right? It wasn't like a significant price where I was like, damn, they just stole like thousands of dollars from my pocket and now they're giving it away from free, you know?
I think there is something to be said there where people are able to talk more directly to developers so they feel more entitled, right? And I do think there is like the trade-off of like, yeah, I did purchase something in this other world, I get this kind of valuation. In this world, I didn't get the same value for my purchase. So I am upset because in this world, it's a different story, right? But I think there is a little bit of, maybe a little bit of unrealistic expectations that come with like what you're purchasing, because again, it comes down to like what I said for the last year or so, the messaging needs to be more direct. Like, what are we doing here? We're building a game in open, or we're building a game like publicly. So
to me, a lot of it just goes down to patience, man. It seems like people just lack that in the space because of how fast the space moves. And we're forgetting that, one, you got access to a game for like whatever price you pay for that extraction pack. Two, it's access for as long as they do play tests. You get me? And when the game comes out, you still will have access to it, you know? Three, we don't even know the full utility behind these things yet. You know, they could add on more rewards in the future if they wanted to. And now you still hold this thing. So patience is key right here, guys. At the end of the day, these are people that are developing games, and that takes a lot of time. So just if you want to be involved in the ecosystem, take the patience to build with them and learn about their ecosystem and how decisions is made in that ecosystem, and just be part of the process, man. It's all about, you know, we're all in here.
Build with them in public. Like they're building
build with them in public. But understand that this space has high risks sometimes, and you just got to analyze if you're willing to take that risk or not, or if you're able to maintain that risk or not.
And if I can, you know, add on to this point too, I think that that's the beauty, right? The beauty and the curse of like building in this space. And I said this earlier, because something had popped up and I just needed to respond to it. But it's there's a beauty and a curse of this space because it's like this space is like a fire. I like to say it warms you if you take care of it and you take care of the community and you provide proper expectations and you're transparent in the way that you build, right? And even up to an extent, right? Even transparency doesn't grant that everybody will be on board, but that's okay because you guys are able to say, hey, we had everything laid out for you guys to be able to read and to understand, this is the timeline that we're going through and it's just taking time. Games take time and that's okay, And then the other side of the fire is that it could burn your whole shit down, And if you're not taking care of it right, it can absolutely wreck your guys, like the team's mental health, the team's willingness to want to show up every day. You end up having Discord channels that you can't even step inside of because it got so bad, And that's just the way that this space works. And so you kind of take that chance coming into space and building here because you're putting your face right to the flame by removing the middle part, right? If I have a problem with Blizzard, I probably got to email somebody and wait 48 to 72 hours, maybe a week or so to get a response back. And then that goes off to somebody else and that goes off to somebody else. And then if
I used to work that job.
And then like 1,000, like hundreds of different levels up, is like the CEO there that's running the whole thing, And so you remove that entire middle part and you have founder and player. Yep. And it's just direct, right? And so there's beauty there, but there's also, a curse there because that person is pinging you 24/7, trying to think about what's going on in this space. What are you doing? Where's my money going, And so that's what I like to say. And we're taking that chance, to build here because, that's what we live for, right? You want to build with the community.
And the last thing I want to add to this discussion is everybody needs to go to sleep. Everybody needs to rest and then come back stronger the next day because a lot of people don't sleep over this stuff. So go to sleep.
Good, man. I'm going to take your advice.
You already sleeping. Look at you leaning over like that.
Jackie's over here saying, I'd rather, man, I thought I clicked on her thing. I'd rather wait for a game for a long time so it's programmed right, not have fast. I mean, I agree with you, Jackie. Like at the end of the day, we get the privilege to be a part of like the early development stages of the games being built here, and that's just like a privilege that we have. That's not something that a lot of people get to be a part of. I know I wasn't a part of that in traditional gaming, and I wish I could have been because I'm the type of player that wants to help games by providing constructive feedback, right? Like it may not always be positive feedback, but if it is negative, it's going to be constructive in a way that helps you and not just like chess on you, right? If you're in here for that reason, then you're gonna have a lot of fun. If
100%.
you want like a perfect game at early stages, you're gonna have a bad time because that doesn't happen in any industry of the gaming world, So we'll go ahead.
Shout out to Grasso if he's still in the chat, man. Like, we had Old Door on Rec like a month ago. Yeah. And we actually helped him fix one of the bugs on like the 13th wave, just by being there trying the game. He and I talked about it afterwards. We kind of like gave him some feedback, told him exactly where I saw certain things happening, and they were able to fix that. Like to me, that's what's worth it for me personally. That shit's sick as fuck. Like, I can one day go clear that wave and be like, yeah, I fixed the bug here once. Like, I know that's weird. Like, I didn't fix it, but like I helped call it out and help them fix it. I don't know. Like for me, that's dope.
100%.
I agree 100%, man. Some great takes from everyone, but let's move on to question number 2 in Severus. Given the cross-platform availability between iOS, I'm guessing you guys are on Android as well, Android and PC. What measures are in place to ensure a seamless and consistent gaming experience across different devices, particularly in terms of controls, graphics, and performance?
Yeah. So before I get into that, though, the Cerberus, that was I don't know how long you've been playing Call of Duty for, but that was a kill streak back in Black Ops 3. And so that's crazy.
I'm not privy to that information. I just
my Call of Duty brother, man. My Call of Duty brother
I point and shoot. That's all I do in games.
No, absolutely.
That's for another show. Go ahead.
No, for sure. But yeah, so I think, and this is a vivid experience for me being on this team, right? I've never been on a team that has had this many devs working on it and a huge team that I couldn't physically like see or anything like that, right? I have a core team of people that I talk to every day, and they're fantastic. They're incredible. It's people that brought me onto the team. Nox, if she's watching, absolute legend. But it's so crazy being able to see the team work because to provide a seamless experience, right, you have to push out different builds. And everything that I hear from people that are building on mobile is that Apple is so frustrating because you upload a build and then it takes a while for it to get approved, to get processed, and people to finally be able to be testing it, you know? And when I tell you that I was sitting at my computer and I get 5, 6 different test flight notifications back to back saying that there's been a new build, a new build, a new build, a new build, a new build. Like, it's absolutely insane, right? And I'm able to play these testies first and then send feedback right back to the team. And then the next day there's a new build. The next day there's a new build, right? And sometimes like builds take weeks to months to be able to be worked out for a few kinks, right? But I think that this is something that we've really, put a lot of emphasis on is making sure that the user experience is as smooth as possible, you know? That's why, we went with Stardust, right? Somebody goes on mobile and immediately the first thing they see is like, our loading screen, log in, sign in, continue with Google, continue with Apple, continue with this and that, right? Hit continue with Google, instantly sign in, you're right into the game. Very, very easy. And then it takes somebody through a very first time user like tutorial where it runs you through our party heist mode, how to loot boxes, how to shoot people who you want to shoot, things like that, So very seamless experience, how to extract, where you want to find these at. So very fast and very smooth on that end. And I just want to make sure that I put a lot of emphasis on that because there's been lots of times where I've talked to the team and I'm like, hey, we need to go back because this part right here, people can get confused. Hey, we need to go back because, for example, right now, this is something that I've recently brought up to the team. Our game on PC is like a emulator version, right? It's like a PC emulator version. So when you go to stretch out the screen, it condenses back down because it's a mobile. There's like the buttons on the side for mobile, And one of the things that I'm telling the team is, hey, we need to make it much easier for people to know how to loot boxes because right now you have to hit control on the keyboard so that it brings up your mouse and then you click on the loot.
Starting to sound like Farlight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, hey, we need to completely like rework that so that people on PC, they don't have to think about it twice on what do I do to loot this box because that's going to be the difference between you looting a box or you just keep running and then you miss out on hundreds of, party points or hundreds of loot, thousands of loot, right? And so we need to rework that, make sure that works easily, Right. We need to rework abilities to make sure that they work smoothly, right? And this is the same across mobile and PC. There was a bug in our mobile version that made your iPhone heat up. And when I brought that up to the team, I said, hey, I have this iPhone and it's not like an old iPhone. Hey, we have this iPhone and it's heating up in my hand. Like, I shouldn't be able to do this, right? I shouldn't be able to cook ramen when I'm playing PartyIcons,
You cooked ramen, get
cooked. And so, like, we need to redo this. We need to take it back, rework it, and immediately the next day there was a new build up that fixed that problem, right? So communication is how we work on these builds and then just testing it firsthand. That's why I have an Android device and an iPhone device and a computer and a laptop, so that I could test this out on different devices and immediately send feedback out before it goes to public.
Yeah, that's huge. And, I'm glad that they have someone like you on the team, right? That's that involved and is taking it firsthand to make sure that the UX is on point, that you're testing all the features, before it goes out to the public and that you're rectifying, right? Like you're going back and you're like, hey, yeah, like this is great. The new build is great, but like we need to fix this fissure on the PC version. You get me? That's still an issue, And also it gives, I want to give you guys a lot of flour from having a team that takes care of updates and like you're saying, a new build so quickly, right? And I'm glad Hado brought up Farlight, for example, because that's a great example of a game that was doing lots and lots of updates inside their game. and you as the user never felt like they were updating the game. You know, it didn't apply to the downtime of the game, right? Like there was no downtime when they were doing updates. You can still go in it and play it as much as you want, right? And it was almost like constantly every week that you would come in and you were like, oh man, I had this complaint about the game, and then you would come in the next week and out of nowhere it will be fixed, right? So
Yeah.
I think that has a lot of value as a team, but also having a community that gives you that much feedback and is that involved with trying out the games, noticing little things, and just wanting the game to be the best form it can be, man. That's freaking huge, and I think that's what's gonna make you guys go the extra mile and produce like a really, really good product for this space. You know, like I know you mentioned like making sure the experience is as seamless as possible and as smooth as possible. I think that should be the number one goal for many games in the space. You know, I talk about it all the time, optimizing your game, making sure it's smooth on whatever platform that or whatever device that you're running it on is like one of the highest priorities for anyone. You know, yeah, it's crucial.
Absolutely.
Go into your game and, you know, like it's one thing if it's a skill issue, and I hate when people use it. The guys on the team use it against me all the time. And yes, there is definitely a skill issue in some instances, right? But when it's not a skill issue, bro, there's nothing more frustrating.
Clip it.
And
He just said there's a skill issue.
Shut up. Let me cook. Bro. All right, go back to sleep. God damn it! I knew you were
getting
cooked.
I've been eating ribs, man. All right.
I know, bro. I know.
That's why I keep the V2 where I can eat while I'm doing
I knew this topic was going to be a trigger to the both of you, all right? So,
you're gonna get hammed, bro. We're gonna see.
All I was going to say is that there's nothing more frustrating than losing in a game or not doing well in a game when it's completely outside of your power. You get me?
Yeah.
It's not a skill issue, it's an optimization issue, or like the game is not working properly. You know, it's just very frustrating, man. So I'm glad you guys are taking the time to make
100%, man. 100%. And one thing I want to, dude, shout out Nick for reals, dude.
Nick,
love Nick. Great guy. And real quick, Cloudz, thank you so much for saying that. All flowers go to the team. They're the ones that put in the countless hours, showing up even on weekends to work on the game. You know, insane. I guess you know Asia has a culture like that where they show up on Sundays and just get to work. You know, that's crazy. That's dedication.
Really? Yeah, I mean, it definitely does, because that's been my childhood. So parents are like, well, guess what, bitch, it's Sunday, so you get to work.
The shirt nowadays.
I also think that should be the culture inside the gaming industry, man. Like we talk about it internally all the time with content, right? Like content is 24/7, bro. There's no like such thing as a day off in content creation, right? Like new things are popping up, new ideas, you know, like new deals, like whatever it is, right? But listen, let's get moving with the next question here. How does the Mear Pass system integrate with the PartyIcons overall gameplay and ecosystem? And what specific advantages do Mear Pass holders gain that can impact their gameplay experience and competitive edge?
Yeah, so this should be a really straightforward process to kind of compare the two, right? Our Mear Pass is essentially like that extraction pack that you were talking about from Shrapnel. You know, it's like our bundle that has items for you to have a better experience in game. So the way that I would say it is the Mear Pass, it's what allows you an opportunity to buy into our game to be able to even play it. There's a few different modes that we have up right now, but since it is a private playtest, we gated it to like the Merble, which is a currency that we can jump into at a later time. There's this whole flow chart, but to keep it simple, our Mear Pass allows people to get currencies to jump into the game every day to buy in. Our Mear Pass gives people loot boxes so that they can get a super rare skin, an ultra rare skin, and a legendary skin in game. And so you'll get these 3 different skins that you can claim for your preferred character. There's 3 characters that are not added in the game yet, but I think they may be at our next closed beta. So I'm super excited for that. And so, yeah, those are like some of the benefits. And then jumping into like a step further to why the Mear Pass is so important is because those characters, for example, let's say you get their legendary skin, right? I got a legendary Solana skin. So I love Solana in game. I'm a Solana maxi. She's absolute clutch. And so because I have this legendary skin, I get a 55% bonus on all party points that I extract inside of the game. And let's say maybe you're not as good at the game, right? But you are using that legendary skin. You are able to still like if you don't extract and you end up dying, you still are able to take out 20% of all the party points that you've ended up getting. So you still end up taking some points out because of the rarity level of your skin as well. And so each skin is going to have a different rarity level, and that will end up correlating to how many party points bonus you get or how many party points you're able to extract, without even winning. So that's why they're so important, and you get those from having a Mear pass right now. So that's why the Mear pass is important.
That actually leads perfectly into the next question here. But before I do say the next question, all I heard was loot boxes. So it looks like I'm going to be buying a Mear pass very soon, guys. Listen, bro, you can't stop me. You can't stop me. Right? So let's get into the next question. It says, what steps are being taken to prevent potential pay-to-win scenarios, given the augmented in-game attribute bonuses provided to the Mear pass holders?
Yeah, absolutely nothing. We want people to pay to win. No, I'm kidding.
Guys.
Pay to get good, baby.
Pay to get good.
Let's go.
No, but what are we doing here to be able to kind of combat that? Well, it's very simple, right? You get the Mear pass and you have these upgraded weapons and upgraded armor, right? But if you end up dying, anybody could just take that from you. And so
they can extract your loot, essentially.
Yeah, they're able to extract your loot, to extract your weapons. And so I guess it's like sort of pay to win up to a certain extent, because if somebody that absolutely sucks at the game buys a Mear pass, they go in fully loaded out, and I kill them and I have no Mear pass and I take their weapons, then how is it really pay to win at that point, right? And so that's kind of like the chance that you're taking with extraction shooters, right? Yeah. Is somebody going to take, your weapons? So yeah, I think that kind of like evens out the playing field there as well.
That is actually a great answer. And you're absolutely right. It does. It balances it out because you got to take the risk, right? Do I bring in my super cool weapon with the skin into the game where I can potentially lose it to somebody else? Like Death Drop was very similar, right? Like if you played Death Drop very early on, to anyone that was part of the early playtest and a holder of their operators, everybody got this super cool skin, like airdrop into their backpack.
Yeah.
And I made the mistake. I didn't know that was like a thing at first. You get me? I just saw it in there. I'm like, oh, cool. Like I got that. Like that's cool. Let me go into the game and show it off. And I went in, and soon enough, I got sniped by Cairo. Cairo being Death Drop. I died to him, and then I lost it. Like somebody extracted it. I was like, fuck, dude. And I never got it back because nobody.
Dang.
You get me of bringing it into the game. So.
Messaging Cairo on the side, like, hey, can I get? I was like, can I get it back?
I'm gonna picture, bro. He just sniped me from the top of the building somewhere, grinding for kills or who knows what. But that was a great answer, man. Let's jump into the last question here. For party points will turn into S party as part of the airdrop campaign. What would be the conversion? What would their conversion rate be like?
Yeah. So. They're going to be turning into party tokens. This is going to be something that's going to be like down the road, not something that you'll see happening in like the next few weeks or anything. We're really taking our time to make sure that the token is implemented in a way that is going to work with, how would I say, like fiat onboarding as well, and that there's going to be a consistent flow from money coming in, because this is something that you guys didn't touch on that I'll add into it. Is we actually have stuff called Mearship clubs as well. I don't know if that was on your guys' questions, but we have Mearship clubs, and these clubs are going to be like guilds inside of the game, like clans essentially, where you're able to have 50, 100, 250, 500 people inside of these clubs, and all of the fiat or tokens that are ran through like these clubs to get loot boxes, to get Merble, to get skins, there will be a percentage that is kicked back, like a large percentage that is kicked back to the Mearship Club owners so that they can distribute that as they choose to, So huge alpha there. I don't know if I was supposed to say that or if I'm going to end up getting fired tomorrow.
You just answered like 3 of the questions on the last boss, bro. Like, please, the show's over, guys. That's absolute alpha right there, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah, and so like we're currently working on a system that's gonna make sure that all of these are taken care of. Dang, I think I got a DM on the side. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding with you guys. But yeah, so long story short, there is no exact conversion yet that people can expect. the main thing that I would say is for those of you guys that have access early on to grind it out, right? Because you guys are getting a first jump into it before the gates open for everybody else, and before we start putting like our dollars behind a marketing campaign and start, really pushing that out. We've honestly done really small play tests because we wanted that feedback that has been helping us out a lot over the last 2 tests.
Dude, beautiful answer right there. Guys, the poll is up for boss number 2. Make sure you guys give your voting. Go in there and tell us how Seabass is doing, man. I think you're absolutely killing it so far, man. Great job so far. But yeah, guys, go in there. Tell us how he's doing. We'll go over all the grading scales at the end on the last boss. But I think we're ready to move on to the 2-headed hybrid. Hado?
Oh, we are.
Yes, sir.
Okay, well let's get it done. Let's move on to the 2-headed hydra. You ready?
Oh yeah.
All right, so we're jumping right into question number 1. How does PartyIcons Lab plan to balance the economy model of PartyIcons with a single token system, aka the party token, to ensure its long sustainability and prevent inflation, deflation within the game's economy?
Yeah, so many number signs going up that my my head can't even wrap my head around that. It's so much stuff, right? And instantly what comes up to mind is like our deck that we put together that has like lines going everywhere, and I'm trying to think about like the way that it works together for you guys. So how do we plan to make sure that it works? I kind of touched a little bit into that before, right? We're going to have money that is distributed between holders, players, and buyers, right? So people that are buying items, buying these cosmetics, internal marketplaces for everything to kind of run through. We're also going to be doing things. I don't know if this is confirmed or if I'm going to get another DM, but I'm really pushing to have like creator loot boxes as well. So stuff that creators you could purchase for a limited time that end up at a later time getting listed on marketplaces like inside of our game. So that way people that end up coming in later, maybe they see a Catalyst skin in game and they're like, holy shit, that looks really cool. How do I buy that? But there's no loot box anymore. So now there's that demand for these different skins that people may like, right? So these are different ways that we can kind of flow the money through, but also too, we want to incentivize Mearship clubs. So because these Mearship clubs, and it's something really cool that I haven't seen in any other game so far, and our Mearship club owners will able to have, they'll be able to set up events for their clubs, like specific tournaments, competitions, things like that. And this is what that kickback is going to be really pushing for. We want this kickback of the money that comes in to kick back to these Mearship club owners, because inside of our game is pre-built already a way that owners can create tournaments. They can set how many players will be in this tournament. They can set what the cash price is going to be, what currency it's going to be in, and after the tournament, the game will automatically pay out the balance for that to people's wallets. So all of that happens inside of the game without having to go the extra mile of saying, hey, can you send me over your wallet so that I can send it over to the team so that they can distribute those prizes? The game automatically runs everything through that. So that's something that's really cool there. And so these are different models. And then islands. People will be able to have their own islands, but that is going to be at a later time where people have thousands of players, actively and events going through there. So I don't have a direct answer for you, and this is maybe where I take the hit. I don't have a direct answer on you on how we're going to combat the deflation, the inflation, because to be completely honest, I am the messenger. I'm the person that comes onto these and talks to you. I really wish that Nox was here because she works directly hand to hand with the team to work up all of these, the decks and the numbers and the percentages that are going to be inside of the game.
I love that answer. I love when you use the basically described automation.
Yes.
That is like I got to tell you, like that is something that is kind of underutilized in this space because there's a lot of hoops people have to jump through to get from point A to point B, right?
Exactly.
And if you automate that process, that's right there is like answering the how do we onboard people. It's like, well, you just play this game and then this happens. You don't have to like figure out how to do it yourself. That's a huge deal right there.
Also, like, especially when it comes to like what you mentioned, CPAT, which is distributing like winning prizes or like in-game prices, right? Like that's huge, man. And that's if you guys ever decide to go the esports route, for example, or explore that avenue, that's going to be a huge tool to have into your ecosystem, right? If you can distribute winning prizes automatically and like how to saying automate it, right? You get me? Like that's going to be huge. Now, before we move to question number 2 of the two-headed Hydra, we do have a special surprise for the Party Icons community, the Catalyst community, all the listeners here, and yourself, Seabass. I'm going to pull it up on the screen real quick, and I'm going to pass it over to Missy so he can kind of go over it real quick.
Before you pull it up,
yes, sir.
We got to play the video.
Oh, all right.
God, that's so dope.
Yeah.
All right. So, boss battle tradition. Every guest gets an honorary cartridge made, inspired by their IP. We created these cartridges for boss battle. It's like a very nostalgic thing to us. So yeah, we shout out Damien. We worked on this together. We wanted to make something dope. We were feeling kind of inspired after the recent Paladins event, and we wanted to make something really cool to honor Party Icons and kind of bring some of those old vibes back. It's going to be available for the next 2 hours. Link is in the tweet for those of you that want to collect it. And of course, as always, this does have wider utility within the Catalyst ecosystem. No, I will not fucking tell you what it is until the time's up. But, free mint, have fun, and, there will be a day where there is utility to it, but never going to tell you until the day.
No, that is one alpha that we're not giving away. Also, I don't know if we let you know, T-Best, but if you do beat the bosses today, we also send the guests a trophy as well, an NFT trophy that's also going to have its own utility as well.
Let's
in
go.
Our ecosystem. So definitely, hopefully you end up winning so you can get that into your wallets and show it off, man. Do a little bit of
I'm gonna flex on everybody.
Yeah, exactly. Do a little bit of flexing on everyone else in the space, But let's get into it, man. Let's keep going with these questions. We're gonna move on to question number 2. Now, a lot of these questions seems to be based around the tokenomics and the economy of the game. So if it's a little bit repetitive, just gonna do your best at giving us like maybe a slightly different answer. But this one says, how does the governance aspect of the party token and the membership's club governance token function in terms of decision making within the partyverse, and what are the limits to player influence on game development and community rules?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, man.
I guess they're asking if you guys are a DAO.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, man. The second that you said governments in there, I almost just no, but yeah. So how do we end up having like or how will players, I guess, the question in a way that is able to be understood for my simple brain is, will players be able to have some say in the game's direction, right? Via like, I know there was financial there, so I'm assuming like voting, right?
Yeah.
I don't think it's something that we're really talking too much on. I don't know, man. I haven't seen the DAO method like work that well, right? And it kind of just seems as a way for people to be able to burn, those tokens, right? And so it's not something where I think we've talked about too much. It hasn't really came up in conversation. So I wouldn't say that it's something that we're putting too much of a focus on, We really want to make sure that people are able to use those tokens inside of the game for something that is like visible and tangible. And so that's what I would say. Our focus is more leaning towards that.
That's a great answer, man. I kind of agree with your take on DAOs, right? The way I look at it is like too many hands in the kitchen. You get me? Like it's just usually when there's too many like people involved in decision making and what gets voted, what gets through, it just takes too long to make progress. You get me? And not enough things get quickly enough. So
I think there's opportunity in games for minor decisions within gaming to do that kind of voting stuff, but with major changes to the game, I think that there has to be a leader, which is the game developers, the people that are building the game, and then maybe the VCs as well. But they have to be the one that are leading the charge.
Yeah, because like to add to this too, it's like and this is mainly because every time that I've seen a DAO vote happen, right, and it's through using like your currency for it, there ends up being a whale that comes in and just drops something, right, and sways that conversation, right? Imagine if Valorant said, hey guys, we want you guys to vote on who we should be buffing next, right? I'm max voting on buffing Jet again, right? I'm a Jet main. I remember when she was able to get all of her knives back from, ulting and like right clicking. And so I've been playing Jet for a long time before they absolutely nerfed her down to the ground, and now they nerfed Raze. And so like if I'm playing, like if I'm Valorant, right, I'm max voting on where I want to sway this to. What stops somebody from that happening inside of game, right? You have to go think about a whole different set of, okay, now how do we stop this from happening? How do we stop that from happening? It's just extra brain space that has to be spent somewhere else.
And they took Split away, and they fucking buffed Reyna.
Yeah.
Let's do it right now. Oh man!
All right, I'm gonna throw it back to Hado for question number 3.
Pause.
All right. Let's move on. We do it live here on Boss Battle. Question number 3: what are the specific criteria and processes for participating in bespoke private tournaments hosted through Mearship? I probably said that wrong too. And how is the automatic and immediate prize delivery system implemented to ensure transparency and fairness? Ooh, good question.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, man. And we touched a little bit about that earlier on too, right? The whole automation system and the way that works too. So I'll touch on, it, like the fairness of it, right? This is something that we just had a conversation on, I want to say this last week. Because how would I say? One, we haven't gotten to the point yet where we're giving other people the ability to start their own tournaments and stuff like that, right? It's still very small. We're not going to run that just yet. But think about this, right? When it comes to fairness, I think cheating in general is always going to be in the picture when it comes to gaming. Games have tried to fight off cheating. Games have tried to fight off hackers, right, for a long time, and they keep on just getting better day after day after day, right? I can go and probably buy Valorant cheats for stupid cheap, right, and play it until that account gets banned and do another one, right? So like it's very, very easy to get these cheats, and it's very hard to fight against them because they'll just figure out a way around it, And so how do we go about this fairness? It's actually a conversation that we have brought up internally, because I know Shrapnel does a system where for their solo queuing, they're actually able to see the icons like move in game. And if there are two players that are found and they're not shooting each other, they're able to see that, and they're able to suspend those people in game so that they can no longer play the game, right? Because partying together to dominate the lobby is not allowed. Right. And so this is something that I brought up to the team is, okay, how do we make it then so that if we also are able to see that maybe somebody is getting headshot after headshot after headshot after headshot after headshot, that raises a flag for us, suspends that account, and then, they have to open up a ticket, or they, talk to us, and then we're able to review that log further, right? Or if we have suspicions that somebody is swaying the way that the game works or bypassing something, right? That raises a suspicion to us. And this is going to be the exact same thing within these Mearship clubs too, right? They are going to have the liberty to do these tournaments as they please, right? But ultimately, we still have the game logs to where we're able to oversee, like, is a character getting headshots back to back to back? Is these people found meeting up often? And are they found, killing each other or taking turns, stuff like that? We're able to see that, right? Are these characters found partying up? And, because you're able to party up in teams of 2, but we've found sometimes that, people are trying to party up in teams of 4 and then go, like, how do we combat that stuff? So that's all stuff that is going into conversation so that we can make sure that there's still integrity in the game as well.
Yeah, I gotta say, when I listen to you talk about party icons and just like game design in general, like I really am happy that you're part of this team and building in Web3, because I really don't hear this kind of rhetoric from a lot of Web3 developers in this space. Like it's definitely gamer focused. I can hear that when you're talking. So really do appreciate that. I want to get some claps to the chat for bringing Seabass on to Party Icons. And I forget that I have to turn that shit off.
I keep giving the men claps, bro. No, man. But I mean, at the end of the day,
claps in the chat.
At the end of the day, it's gamer shit right there, man. You can tell that Seabass is an absolute gamer, and he knows what he's doing and helping out the team in Party Icons. Absolutely beautiful, man. I think, a lot of things that you touched on that are really important there, Seabass, right? Like, I think figuring out a way to receive in-game data that alerts you guys to all those points that you were making is the absolute best way to go about, taking care of hackers, taking care of cheating in the game, making sure it's absolutely fair and, that it's the same level of playing field and for everyone. And I like that the fact that you guys will still remain admins of whatever tournaments is happening, whether it's a Merc, a Merc pass holder that's hosting the tournament or you guys doing one internally, right? You guys still oversee admin role where you can kind of be traced back before sending out prices, sending out any type of payments or anything like that, and make sure that everything was done fairly.
Yeah, exactly.
Really cool, man. Really cool. All right, let's move on to the next question here. This one says, what safeguards are in place to protect the interests of players and investors in the Party Icon ecosystem, especially concerning the revenue sharing models and the financial stability of the Partyverse?
Yeah. So I think that's like we've put these automation processes in place so that everything is handled on its own, right? And it's not man doing it, when man gets introduced to the equation, and this is like something that I've heard before, right? Like robots don't have to be perfect. They just have to do better than us, right? And when man gets introduced, think about it, you're going through spreadsheets. I've been a part of a NFT mint before and having to send out like NFTs to people that held previous assets and stuff like that, right? And one thing that I remember clearly is going through a Google Sheet of thousands upon thousands of entries that I had to go through and select that and send out one NFT to this wallet, one to this, right? And when man does that, it's very easy to get lost in the process and forget where you are, and then maybe you end up sending out. I don't know if you guys saw this, but there was a TikTok where somebody ordered like 10 iPhones for their staff or whatever, and Apple ended up sending them like a whole case of like iPhones.
Oh yeah, they sent them like 2 cases, right? Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely insane, right? Yeah, crazy.
Yeah, man, it was crazy. Yeah.
And so it's very easy for those mistakes to happen when you're not on your game, right? And we all have days where we don't feel 100%, right? And so that's the reason why we implemented in these processes. So that way we make sure that everything gets automatically, distributed fairly and that there's no like hiccups that happen in place, right? While we're still able to oversee it and make sure that everything is flowing smoothly. I think that's the way that I would say we keep that integrity. From an investor standpoint, I mean, that's a conversation, that has to happen internally with like investors, so that way they make sure that things are being distributed properly. But that's why we have automation in place.
Automation's
Absolutely,
key, baby.
Man. And now with AI, man, that makes the automated process like so much better. Because before, for example, I'm the type of person that when it comes to customer care, I hate having an automated process, right? Like I want to talk to a person so I can solve my issues quickly and effectively, right? I don't want to go through like the same answer and then give you some bullshit answer so that you can further my, help me or whatever. So when it comes to that type of stuff, yes, I would prefer a person, but a lot of the other stuff, like a lot of the processing, like you're saying, like going through a spreadsheet and stuff like that, has been perfected through AI tools, right? And we can use that to our advantages and support our teams by making their jobs a lot easier, which then makes them focus and really put focus into what they're like needed for and making sure they're executing that, whatever role or whatever duty that they have to do effectively, So
yeah, I will say real quick, like for the customer service side of it, because I work in customer service, right? If there's an AI tool that allows people to be funneled to proper channels, then to talk to people, I think that's like the perfect solution. Like that's the ideal solution, where you take away the operator kind of thing that is useless today, and kind of repurpose it with AI to properly funnel people into the right channels. And then they have like a more informed preparation of like what they need to provide to get the help they need. So I think that's the sweet spot there.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with both of you guys, man. Before we throw it back to Hado for the last question, though, guys, the poll is currently up right now. So make sure that you're stopping by and dropping your votes as we get to this last boss right here. I think Seabass is going to do just fine, but help him out just in case, guys. Make sure you drop a vote in there. Hado, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so we have one more question here. We've been going through an intensive round of question over an hour here on episode 26 or 27. We're not
or
sure.
27. Who knows? Who knows?
So the final question for you, Seabass. What worries you most about the release of PartyIcons? What keeps you up at night?
Yeah, so I think, and this is very easy for me to answer. I think what keeps me up at night the most is that, God, dude, being like a content creator is like, do we post at the right times? Is there a better time to post? Is there a better time to release, right? I think that is always going to be something that keeps me up. But as far as for PartyIcons specifically is, did we make it into the right communities, right? Of people that are going to then share the game out to their friends, right? And that's my worry as somebody that works specifically inside of communities, is how do we continue to bring more people on? What do we do, right? What do we do outside of Web3 that brings more people in, right? Do we need to put ads somewhere else? Do we need to do Instagram? Do we need to do this or that? And how do we do it effectively, Like, this is the stuff that keeps me up, because one thing that I notice a lot is games going to market, but they don't market the game, I guess is a way to say it. Like, I've seen games that market characters inside of their game, but never really, like, when it comes to gameplay, you don't see anything of it, And I think for us, we have a fantastic character panel where we can go and make personalities for these characters and make series for these characters, right? And that's fantastic. But then how do we loop that in together? And how do we loop that storyline in together, right? And so I think that that's stuff that really keeps me up at night. And just how do we push it forward? How do we keep going? How do we essentially develop this story in so deep that it keeps people up at night, like watching YouTube about why is Rumple like the lawyer? How did he end up getting into this battlefield, right? How did Jasper Jaws get turned into half mechanical and half shark, right? Like, how does this stuff happen? And so I think that's the stuff that really keeps me going, It's just ideating on those things too, right? Our devs could tell you something completely different. Our devs could be like, we, stay up at night about if somebody's going to load up right, or it's like completely different, right?
Some
but
type of coding,
some type of code, if the code is going to go well, right? But I think that's what keeps me up at night.
That's a great answer, man. And I think to add on to your point, I think a good way to get there to what your end goal is, I guess, is to build as much fandom as possible between your communities and each individual character inside the lore of PartyIcons, right? Because one of the things I noticed while we were really heavily playing like a game like Farlight, for example, right? At that time, we were doing a lot of content on TikTok. It was before we shifted only to X and stuff like that. And in TikTok, when you went into the Farlight session, there was a lot of gameplay content, but there was also a lot of content of people just role playing as the characters. Like a lot of people dressing up as Maggie, who's one of the characters, and doing IRL content dressed up as that character, So I think building a big fandom around the lore would support things like, like having a successful individual series for a specific character, or making that character very famous inside the game itself.
Yeah.
Right? Like similar to Call of Duty and Ghost or Captain Price and stuff like that, right? Like the only reason those characters became so famous, aside from them having a key role in the campaign of Call of Duty, right? They became super famous because how attached people became to them, right? Like when Ghost died and so many people were attached to Ghost, you get me? That was like right there, that type of fandom. It's what a lot of games in Web3 need to strive for.
100%.
That really, really strong fandom that people are going to get behind on.
Yeah, and I would say something that stuck up from what you said was what keeps you up at night is like community involvement and making sure that you're talking to the right communities. I think I think there's a fair amount of vanity behind the communities in Web3, if I'm being honest. And how you were talking about like including the games inside of the game itself. I mean, including the community inside of the game itself with skins and things like that. I think Nifty Island tried doing it, but the way they did it was like everyone at once, so nothing felt special. I was very critical of that. I actually we faded it as a company because we were like, why the fuck would we want to be one out of 100 people doing this? Again, vanity. Fully admit we're a very vain group here where we want our brand to be perceived a certain way. Yep. We want it to be treated a certain way. So I think Nifty Island was just like, we're going to check all the boxes and include every community we possibly can. And I've been like publicly critical of Nifty Island before. It's not my first, it's not my last time. So, this is no one else's thoughts here. These are only my thoughts. But they fucked it up every way possible, in my opinion. I like how you are community first, and I've always noticed that about you. I don't work as closely with you over at Paladins because I do have a different level of responsibility over there, but I'm watching everything, right? And you're like in there. You're in there like swimmer. You're killing it. You, Heimars, you guys vibe perfectly. Like, I love the synergy that you have when you work with the community. So I can attest to that. I think essentially playing to the vanity of certain communities and playing into what their current focuses and needs are, what they're really looking to accomplish with their IP is what will get you that stickiness. And not doing it in a way where it feels like they're just like checking boxes and agendas.
Yeah. I agree with that.
Well, we have come to the end of our questioning here, and we do have the results in for how you did on all the bosses.
What the fuck is that with the music?
Why are you laughing? Let me look. So, on the last boss, unfortunately, my friend, you scored a 71 out of 100.
Damn.
So, I don't know. I guess you lost there at the end. But, however, you did get 100% on boss number 1 and boss number 2. You have defeated all the bosses, my friend, and you have given yourself a trophy for defeating boss battle.
Let's go.
Let's go. Yo. Hey, let's throw some W's in the chat for Seabass, man. Seabass, brother, thank you so much for coming on the show. An absolute pleasure having you here. As we're closing out, anything that you want to tell the crowd or the listeners about PartyIcons, what they should be excited about, what should they look forward to in the upcoming weeks? It's all yours, man.
Yeah, so I think one of the main things about PartyIcons that I really want to make sure that I put out there is that, we want to make sure that every community member feels valued and, playing the game, right? We want to make sure that we're having, as many game nights when our play sessions are available and that we're streaming and that we're inviting people out to play, right? And so if that's you, you want to jump into a game where we have people that are, because this is something we didn't touch on it essentially, but we have people that are jumping in from Latin America and from Asia and from North America, right? And we're all playing together and, shooting the shit, right? And like fighting people from there, and guilds have beef with each other, right? And so it's like so cool. But I want more people to be inserted into that kind of culture, right? Where we want to be the best and fight against each other. So that's what I would say. Jump into the PartyIcons Discord, check out PartyIcons Twitter, and stay up to date. Turn on notifications so that when our CB1 is, our next closed beta. Should be here within the next few weeks. So for those of you guys that don't have a pass, hit me up. I'll give out 5 passes. Don't tell the team that I said that. And we want to get you guys in. We want to get you guys playing. For Mizzy, I know something that you said was that you really care about the brand of Catalyst and for Paladins as well. And we're looking to spotlight some communities by having like billboards and posters inside of our game that people can actually, go through and take pictures with. So that's something where, we'd really love to, include Paladins and Catalyst in as well, right? I kind of see you guys as synonymous, and that you guys are so close together and doing stuff together. And so I want to make sure that I take care of those communities too. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, absolute banger, man. Absolute
let's
banger.
fucking go. Be sure to follow Seabass. Be sure to follow
Let's
Party
go.
Icons.
Let's go. Shout out Seabass. Nah, I love that, man. Appreciate it. We'll definitely catch up there. And shout out Jackie. We love you too.
Yes.
Hell yeah. Guys, make sure you check out Party Icons on all socials. Give Seabass also a follow on Twitter and all socials as well. We'll catch you guys back here next Tuesday at the same damn time. Peace.